Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, I would like to ask the God of Dislikes to bless me with a few things this Christmas. I am very, very saddened that I have not figured out how to go on a road trip without the exhaustion that comes with it. It all started back in April of 2024 when I took a trip from Phoenix to Kerrville, Texas. And I noticed that along the way, there were small towns and other interesting things along the way I wanted to see. But every time I stopped, the only thing I wanted to do was to sleep because it's a 16-hour drive. And during the trip, I would see a small town. I would see a tourist attraction of some sort, and I would stop, and then I would sleep. And I ran into some drama actually. I stopped in a small town just outside of El Paso, and I went into the library to look at some directions, surf the internet a little bit, brag to my friends what I was doing. And then it was 5, 6, 7 p.m. maybe. I got out to my car to sleep. And at around midnight, if I remember correctly, an officer knocks on my window and goes, "Sir, have you anything to drink?" And in my half roused state, I mistakenly was thinking, like, oh, do I have enough fluids to drink? Because it's a hot springtime weather. This is desert environment we're talking about, right? And so, in my half roused state of mind, I thought the officer was concerned for my welfare. Did I have enough fluids to drink? Oh, yeah, yeah, not a problem. And I showed him a 2-liter tea bottle that I had been drinking from. And for half a second, he probably thought I added alcohol to it. Right. And he got really confused. And as soon as I answered it, I realized I had made a mistake. Oh no, is he going to really test me or something? But he looked around and actually, I'm on my way to see the eclipse tomorrow, something like that. And he looked around and also at the time I was also living in my car. So I had my all my stuff in my car, but then he probably realized that my car's from out of state and put two and two together that it really made sense. So that was good. But that it just goes to, I mean, that's a very minor example, but it just goes to show all the hazards that come with trying to take a road trip alone like that. And then I got to Kerrville, and I was chatting with everybody at the Eclipse, and I realized that everybody was traveling with somebody, and they actually got to sightsee. And then I remembered, wasn't necessarily at the job I was working at the time. And then I remembered at previous jobs I was often asked to donate my vacation time to my colleagues who had children and all that, and it strengthened my resolve to never take a job that has a policy of donating vacation time. In fact, usually when I interview for places like that, I immediately ask if I can just opt out of that altogether so that I don't have to deal with any of that. It usually doesn't go well when I say that, right? But I still ask for it. Usually I just end up not taking the job, but whatever the situation is, which is a shame. I had hoped to take a position at ASU, and I didn't like that policy. And as I was interviewing, the boss told me that hardly anybody ever makes use of it. And you know what? True, hardly anybody ever touches it. But the fact that it's there will always sit as a soreness for me. I don't think I'll ever be comfortable there. Okay, whatever the situation is, I want the God of Dislikes to just take over control of the wheel and drive me to Yosemite for a trip. Here's the other dilemma. I talk often about financial freedom. The truth is that I don't think I'll ever be free. Even if I log on tonight and find that one of the metals that I own has gone to $1 billion an ounce, I still won't feel free because I really love all of my students, and I just cannot will myself to take a 2 week vacation to drive to Yosemite. That's why I want somebody to drive me there so I won't have to take too much time off. Give you an idea how much I love my students. Let me talk about a couple encounters that I've had. I used to have a student who sometimes let his ADHD get out of control, and I would try to snap him out of it, and I would count down from 5 to get him to get back to his homework. But eventually, the countdowns got so annoying and fascinating for everybody that instead I would draw a rocket on his paper to symbolize the countdown, like countdown until launch. Right. And so I would threaten to take away his reward points. They get reward points that they can redeem for candy, which is something that I didn't like in the first place, right? Because I knew the parents probably wouldn't approve of them eating all this candy anyway. And so when he would act up, I would threaten to take away his reward points, and I would draw a rocket, and I would say, "You're going to rocket your reward points." Rocket meaning to lose. The truth is that I was saying that so that I wouldn't get drawn down his distractions because I am autistic myself. I mean, he didn't know that I was doing it for my own sanity. My boss didn't know that. My boss actually was very upset that I was threatening to take away his reward. The truth is I was doing it so that to keep myself sane, so I don't get drawn down all his distractions and all that. And I was working at a tutoring center. I had a fifth grader who was studying calculus, and I don't necessarily want to take time away from that. Even if I had $10 trillion in bismuth, I probably still want to do that. And then I had another. It was International Women's Week, and we were talking about all the achievements of women, and we had a whiteboard drawing all the things that women invented, and I drew a glowing dial watch and a spacecraft battery, but hardly anybody understood what it was about. It's about radium and polonium, obviously, but they thought it was about jewelry that women designed and about women in space. And I had to elaborate, but nobody knew what radium and polonium were. And I don't necessarily want to take time away from any of that. And then I had one student who made a bad habit of not writing he was taking some kind of science class, and he had a bad habit of not writing the units on numbers. And I showed him some of the disasters that could occur if you have the wrong units. Among them, the Air Canada had a flight that ran out of fuel because they had some number of liters of fuel instead of gallons, and we had lost a mission in the on Mars, the Mars Climate Orbiter, because of a unit mix-up. So every time the students would forget to write units, I would draw pictures of planes running out of fuel and spacecraft crashing on Mars as a symbol for the wrong units, right? See, I don't necessarily want to take time away from it. And what's really funny about my personal financial freedom as of late is that the more money I have, the more I seem to want, and the more anxiety the concept of money has gotten. So the other day, my car broke down, and I had a little bit of a choice I could make. I had gotten my car towed to AAA, but I realized that another shop could do it a lot less. And plus, if I went to buy my own part, it was a lot less than whatever they were using for some reason. I had a problem with my starter. So I ended up having to get my car towed again and I'm going to complain to AAA later tonight because AAA insisted on towing it to their shop when I told them that I had this other place that I work with regularly. And then I walked all the way to AutoZone to get the part to bring to the shop that I was using. And meanwhile, I walked to work and back and all. And then I remember, wait a minute, my colleagues used to ask me to donate vacation time. I would so much have loved if somebody, even if somebody just drove me to work that time, let alone give me vacation time to use. And it strengthened my resolve to set good boundaries and all that. But you know what? The colleague that I gave the vacation time to, I got a lot of good rapport with her. The only thing I didn't like was that she promised to help me network. And as soon as I gave her the vacation time, all that just, she got distracted with other things. It doesn't help that we were in the middle of a pandemic too. I was thinking after the pandemic, she could maybe set me up on a blind date or something. I was kind of thinking that. And she got sidetracked with other stuff in her life after the pandemic. And but she gave me a lot of false hope is what it is. But at the time I was giving her the vacation time, the false hope kind of did give me a good feeling, even though it was false. So it's just a weird conundrum. Uh, like I said, I sometimes get myself way too drawn with all of these people. Some of the students I also get along with their parents, and I'm hoping, again, it might be false hope, but I'm hoping to get networking out of them and get career connections out of them. One of my colleagues, uh, her parents are working with software at a technology startup, and I hope to network. But that was what I was hoping with the colleague at Wash Tech as well. So maybe it's not healthy, but at the same time, I can't seem to get over that. And for some reason, the more money I have, the more stingy I get, and the more I want for some reason. Like with that car repair, I could have thrown a few extra $100, a few hundred extra dollars at it and been done with it earlier, but I got stingy. And as a result, I got a lot of exercise out of it too. I ended up walking over half a marathon in 24 hours, right? I normally wouldn't have pushed myself to do that, right? And also, without the car, it became very inconvenient for me to abuse my, I sometimes have eating disorder kind of issues. It became impossible for me to indulge in that. So it was a blessing in disguise, right? It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. And then I hold out too much hope for those networking opportunities. I'm probably going to get at least most of those hopes shattered again, right? But I hold a lot of hope, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.